Ooh, yeah. Episode 2 of SOULgasm, the podcast, is happening now, and it's entitled Behind the Curtain, How Pro Wrestling Explains Life. Well, how the fuck does pro wrestling explain life, Dan? You're about to find out on episode 2 of SOULgasm, the podcast. Tune in to you. Vibes up. Here we go. Welcome, everyone, to SOULgasm, the podcast, second episode. So glad to have you back. First and foremost, for those of you who tuned in to the first episode last month, which was entitled Benevolent Blindness, my soul felt great gratitude. So thankful, especially all the feedback, the kind and supportive messages I received from so many of you. I'm just speechless, which doesn't happen very often. So, again, to each and every one of you who tuned in, as well as those who took the time to send me a very loving message, thank you so much. Means the world to me, literally. So here we go again, episode 2, and I gotta admit, man, I'm really excited about this one. I mean, I'm always excited about this work that I do, but I love what Spirit did with this one, how they spun it. And what I mean by that is, in case you missed the first episode, I explained a little bit how I work, how I do these things. Again, I'm a spiritual conduit, which means that everything I do is from intuition. I'm literally a conduit for spirit. I mean, we all are in our own way. But I'm here to do it in a direct way, obviously. And what conduit means, by the way, is yes, it means medium. I am a spiritual medium. I do talk to dead people, but I don't like to just call myself a medium because I do a hell of a lot more than just talking or communicating with those who have passed on. Big part of what I do, but not all of what I do. But everything I do is I act as a conduit for messages and information from higher frequencies, from higher beings, from essentially spirit. And all of it is always in regards to what the client, what the individual needs to know in order to live their best life possible. So as such, I never plan what I'm about to do. I love to walk my talk as a conduit. I'm all about authenticity, being who you're here to be, being your authentic self. And so therefore, I never plan really what I'm going to do on these things, whether I'm talking on stage or a podcast and of course a one-on-one, because I never know what's going to come through for somebody in a one-on-one. But even in these presentations, I never plan. I sit down a little bit before, I meditate a little bit, and Spirit tells me what we're going to talk about. I make a few notes, and that's it. Spirit takes it from there. So honestly, I had a different idea on how this second episode was going to go, and as I was getting dressed today, with the podcast on the mind, I happened to subconsciously put on my Andre the Giant t-shirt. Huge, literally a huge legend in professional wrestling. I'm pretty sure, wrestling fan or not, you've heard of Andre the Giant. And as soon as I put the shirt on, man, it just started to flow. I got these downloads in regards to how I was actually intended to do the second episode, and that's kind of wrap it in the concept of pro wrestling. And as the information came through, it blew me away because it makes so much fucking sense, man. So I'm really excited to do this, not only because I am a huge wrestling fan, always have been, grew up as one, but you may or may not know I actually was a pro wrestler in my earlier days. So I still have a deep love for it. Anybody who's ever been in the professional wrestling business will tell you, once you're in, you're never really out. It's always in your blood. It's a very unique thing, a very misunderstood thing. I don't think many people understand it at all, because it really is its own niche. It really is, in a lot of ways, its own world. So I'm really honored to be able to talk about it a little bit today, and very honored to be able to package it in a way that will hopefully inspire the fuck out of each and every one of you and give you some truth about life, give you some priceless information that can only benefit you and hopefully in one way or another help you live the life that you're here to live. So, how the fuck does pro wrestling relate to human life? Well, there's a variety of ways, actually. But first and foremost, what I need to say, we need to acknowledge the F word. And when I say the F word in reference to pro wrestling, I'm not talking about fuck. If you've seen me in action, you know I have no problem with that F word, but there's an F word in the professional wrestling industry, or not in the industry, it's actually from outside the industry, projected onto it. And that F word is fake. And anyone who's ever been a pro wrestler takes that that term very seriously and quite offensively. Because there's nothing fake about pro wrestling. Is it predetermined? Absolutely. Are we trained? Absolutely. But there's really nothing fake about it. The pain you go through is not fake. The lifestyle that you endure, being a pro wrestler, being on the road so much, especially when you're coming up, man, on the independent scene, there's no glamorous shit at all. From the venues to the lifestyle to the hotels, if you're lucky to even have a hotel, nothing glamorous about it. And even if you get to the big time, I mean, if you talk to some of these guys, especially those who were doing it more back in the day when you're on the road for 300 days out of the year and you never see your family, I mean, there's nothing easy about it. I mean, sure, when you get out there, you forget about all that and it gives you an unbelievable experience as a performer. But there's a lot that comes behind it and with it that no one could ever understand. So anybody who thinks it's fake out there, I promise you this. Do one training session to become a pro wrestler and you'll find out really fucking quick how not fake it truly is. So I had to put that out there. Just as a ex-pro wrestler myself, again, I have such a huge respect for the industry, for anybody who's ever done it. So I almost feel like it's my duty to lay that foundation first and foremost. Because there's nothing like a pro wrestler, man. There just isn't. But back to the task at hand here, comparing pro wrestling to life. How does pro wrestling explain life? That's a pretty bold statement I made in that title, or Spirit made in that title. Excuse me. So first and foremost, as an observer, as an audience member, on the surface, it may look like, hey, it's just a whole bunch of glorified stuntmen in tight white, in tight pants, baby oil, whatever the case may be, just beating the shit out of each other, bumping each other around. But the fact of the matter is that there's so much more that is involved. There's so much more than just the physicality aspect of it. And I can give you many examples, and I'm going to, but even that alone, just the fact alone that it's far more than what we perceive on the surface. It's far more than that physicality. Well, such is life. I mean, yes, we're created and conditioned in a way that, the human ego, it primarily relates to that which is physical because that's all it can perceive. So understandably, we are, by default, typically, locked on the physicality of things. We see ourselves as separate from everyone and everything. We perceive that it's possible to run out of. We perceive that, we might not make it through something, that we're alone in all of this. And I can go on and on and on and on about how we perceive it from the human perspective. But the fact that I want to drive home here, and that Spirit wants to drive home here, is that just like life, or just like in pro wrestling, there is so much more that is going on behind the scenes than what you see on TV, or if you're there at a live event that you're witnessing in the ring. When you're a pro wrestler, you need to stay fucking calm when you're out there. I mean, look, the second your entrance music hits, you get out there in front of the crowd, you're just lit up, man. I mean, there's no words to describe it. You would have to experience it. The only motherfuckers that are going to be knowing what I'm talking about right now are any of my fellow pro wrestlers that may be watching right now. There's really nothing like it. The feeling, that high, so to speak. So when you're in there, you can really lose your shit, man. You can really, you can forget what you might have discussed and planned out beforehand with your in-ring partner, with your coworker, because you really are working together while you're in there. You're taking care of each other more so than anything when you're in there. I mean, look, man, when you're in there, you're putting your life and your health and your safety and literally in the hands of another fucking guy. Or if you're a female wrestler, in the hands of another woman. So it's not playtime, man. It's an extremely dangerous thing, and that's why, you see so many wrestling companies out there big time about, don't try this at home. Because there's high risks every time even the most professionally trained people, when they get in there, there's extremely high risks each and every time. So you need to stay calm. You need to take your time. You need to slow down. And very much so, like in life. I mean, when we get riled up by shit, when we go into that fight or flight mode because maybe we forgot what we're supposed to do, or we don't know what we're supposed to do, which does happen in the wrestling ring when somebody just fucking blanks out and then they can start to panic and then they try and force things or rush things and then they blow spot after spot after spot after spot. A spot, by the way, is a series of moves in a wrestling match. Shit, 25 years ago I'd be killed if I was revealing these secrets, but it's been pretty public and open knowledge in the last 25 years or so. But in life, if you go into that fight or flight mode and you try to force things out of panic, things never turn out ideally. And I can guarantee you this, they will never, when we panic, when you try to force a solution in life out of fear, from that place of fear, you will never accomplish an end goal that will be as ideal as how it would have unfolded had we just chilled out, had we just stopped and taken a breath. And create space for the universe to do its thing. Create space for our soul to speak to us, to the forefront of our own human mind. Because the answers are always there, man. Your soul has never set up anything in your lifetime for you to experience that there isn't a beautiful solution to. Sure, what we go through can be extremely and brutally fucked up at times, but there's an equally beautiful solution. The more fucked up the situation, the more beautiful the solution. Please remember that, because that is an unconditional universal law that relates to each and every one of us. So again, like in pro wrestling, where people are taught, hey man, if you forget the spot out there, or if you get a little too overexcited, just stay calm. Listen to your partner, listen to your coworker in there. Usually a more veteran or more experienced coworker that already knows how to stay calm, already knows how to take their time. Well, guess what, y'all? Your soul already knows how to take its time. But if we start freaking out, if we start losing our shit, we're not going to hear it because we're up here. We're working from up here trying to figure out a solution. But let's be honest, man. What have we actually ever truly figured out trying to figure it the fuck out? No, nothing. Our ego wants to think we figured it all out, but no, the answer comes. The answer only comes when there's that gap, when there's that void, when there's that little space between freaking out, and our soul gets to get the word in edgewise, so to speak. So stay calm in life, no matter what the fuck is happening. Try to remind yourself, and I know easier said than done, and it does take practice like anything else, including pro wrestling. It takes practice. But instead of reacting from fear and trying to force that reaction, or just having that default reaction based on fear, remind yourself, everything is unfolding for my highest good. Sure, on the surface it feels fucked up. Sure, on the surface I might have forgotten my spot. But hey, I'm going to get the answer. I will regroup. I will be shown the way. Because you will every single fucking time. But again, if we get wrapped up in our own mind, our own ego, we won't be able to hear the soul. Another great example, and a great comparative example as far as pro wrestling and life goes, especially as far as getting into that fight or flight and kind of rushing things and forcing things. Well, in wrestling, when you do that and you go too quick and you get all hyped up and overexcited and just kind of the adrenaline's going a little bit too high, we get what's called blown up. And blown up meaning you get tired really quick. For example, everybody probably knows the Ultimate Warrior. It was a known thing, and you probably remember the Ultimate Warrior's entrance. He just would come to the ring running 1,000,000 miles an hour, run around the ring, shake the fucking ropes, blah, blah, blah. Well, anybody who ever worked with the guy has always said that the fucking poor guy was blown up as soon as he got to the ring, and then could barely really work a match. So using that example, in life, if we go too hard, we're giving too much. If we're trying to do too much, and usually we're trying to do too much because we want to be accepted and loved. And we have, for whatever reason, through our traumas or through our various life experiences, somebody or many people along the way have taught us that who we are isn't good enough. That we need to do or be more to be worthy, to be productive, to be, well, essentially loved. And in life, that is not the case. And in pro wrestling, that isn't the case. You force something, you're just going to fuck shit up more. In life, if you do too much, if you go too hard, if you don't stop to take your time and take a breath, you will run yourself too thin and blow your ass up. So take your time in life. Everything in life happens step by step. You know, so many people say to me, well, I have this grand vision, but I don't know how to get there, Dan. And how I always have been led to respond to that is this. If you and I'm in Winnipeg right now. So if you and I say to you one day, hey, come over, hop in my car, we're going to Florida. And saying to me, I have this vision, but I don't see how I'm going to get there, so fuck it, I'm not going to do it, would be no different than you saying to me, Dan, yeah, I'd love to go to Florida with you, but you're in Winnipeg. We can't see Florida from Winnipeg. How the fuck are we going to get there? That'd be crazy, right? Because you know damn well that all we need is to see a few feet in front of us along the journey. And if it's at night, we just need headlights and to see that few feet in front of us. And we go a few feet, we'll see the next few feet. We go another few feet, we'll see the next few feet. And eventually, boom, we're on the beach in Florida, y'all. Same thing with your vision. Same thing with your intentions in life. You don't need to see how you're going to get to the end. And frankly, you're fucking not going to. Not from the beginning. So just start. Do what you know to do in the moment. And once you do that, you'll be shown the next step, and then the next, and then the next. I mean, you can't go from grade 1 right to grade 12. And that's a really huge point, because the process is where it's at. The process is where the growth is. The process is where the learning is. The process is where the value is. Because as we go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3, or grade 1 to grade 2 to grade 3, we are acquiring new wisdom as we go along. We're learning more. We are remembering who we're not as we go along, so we can remember who the fuck we actually are. So each of those steps, each of those 2 feet from Winnipeg to Florida, each of those steps from your initial vision to the manifestation of the full version of it, those are integral. They're necessary. Not just to get to the end goal, but to teach you what the fuck you came here to learn, homie. Because that's what we're here for, to learn, to evolve. This is Soul School. And we've been here many, many times over. Just like grades in school, we keep enrolling in this shit show we call the human experience, each time choosing different classes in the forms of experiences, and different teachers in the form of people who we're going to experience life with, run into them along our path. It's no different. That's how the soul rolls before you come here. You know who you're going to be. You pick everything about you, because everything about you and your experiences are going to teach you what you came here to learn, so you can become who you're here to be and do what you're here to do. Ideally in a way that serves you and others. Same shit, different experience. This is Soul School. And if you continuously try to remember that, then you'll never over-panic in life. Then you'll never get blown up in life. You will surrender to every moment with the knowing that every moment is unfolding as it should, not to you, but abso-fucking-lutely for you. And the biggest example of how pro wrestling explains life, and this is my favorite one, honestly, because this really explains the grandiose way in how things work and what's really going on in life. And it really is exemplified in the title of this episode of SOULgasm, the podcast, that being Behind the Curtain. Because y'all, I'll tell you one thing. It's not always the case, but usually the case, at least from my experience over the years when I was a pro wrestler. You can have 2 guys out there in the ring who absolutely appear to fucking hate each other, literally want to kill each other, smoking each other on the head with steel chairs, cutting each other open, throwing each other through tables, punching each other in the face, kicking each other in the balls, whatever the case may be. But then they go behind the curtain after, and everyone's on the same team, man. There are no baby faces or heels. For those who may not know, baby face is the term for a good guy, heel is the term for a bad guy. There are no true baby faces or heels. There are no true good guys or bad guys. We're all on the same team. We're all playing out our roles in this ultimate theatrical experience, to the soul at least, that is the human experience. Because that's what this is, man. To the soul comes here, and just like you go to a wrestling show and suspend disbelief in order to immerse yourself in the entertainment that you're there for, we as souls suspend our disbelief, or maybe suspend our belief, depending on how you want to look at it, before we come here. We have to take on a sort of soul amnesia, if you will, to fully immerse ourselves in this human experience and forget who and what we truly are, at least for a time, so that we can soak up the human part of this until one day, hopefully, if we're lucky enough, we remember who and what we truly are and what this all truly is and why the fuck we're all truly here. Which, by the way, is going to be, I can feel it right now, boom, is going to be the topic of episode 3. And I can even get the name right now. We're going to call it Who, Why, and What the Fuck. Boom. All right, episode 3 coming next month. But that's what I really hope people can realize, if you haven't already, is that we're all just playing our roles here. Somebody who may have hurt you severely, it wasn't necessarily their soul. It was simply them playing their role. And that role was very likely them being in your reality to teach you what you don't deserve. Especially if you got that kind heart, man. Too many of us with kind hearts have allowed those hearts to be walked all over. Simply because we just want peace. Simply because we just want others to be happy. Simply because we want to help. But we can get to that point where we help, and we're not being reciprocated. We're not even being fucking appreciated. You don't need to be reciprocated. But if you're doing some good for people, especially chronically helping somebody, eventually you deserve some appreciation. Remember that. Remember that. None of us are here to martyr ourselves. I mean, yeah, we should give selflessly. But there are those specific situations in life, and all of us tend to have a few people in our lives who we give to, and who take it for granted. And if you're in that situation right now, I don't care who you are, how far on your journey you are, where you are on your journey, if you have been chronically giving and taking care of somebody and they're treating you like shit, what the fuck are you doing? I'll tell you what you're doing. You're expressing a fundamental subconscious belief in you that you don't deserve better. And some part of you is just looking for validation because maybe you didn't get it from mom or dad, or maybe you didn't get it from your ex, or maybe you're not getting it now from people in your life. But stop the bullshit. It's time for the bullshit to stop. Those old games of learning what we don't deserve in order to get to the point where we're so fed up that we're forced to only go after what we do deserve, that time is now. We're here. The threshold is here. Walk through it. Blast through it. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin walking through the broken glass at whatever WrestleMania that was, one of the coolest entrances ever. Fucking blast through that. Make that glass shatter. Make the glass shatter in that threshold, just like the beginning of Stone Cold Steve Austin's badass wrestling music. Walk through that threshold. End that game. Lay that boundary. Because by not doing so, you're not just hurting yourself, you're actually hurting the other person, because you are stunting their ability to grow beyond how they're treating you. Because something in them is allowing them to treat you like that. Their trauma, well, something that happened to them, is allowing them to take such an honest, innocent, genuine, authentically good person for granted. Game over. But there is a game being played, and it will benefit you hugely if you remember, especially in the most fucked up parts and times of your life, that this is all just a game for your soul, and a game we're all playing, and a game we're all playing to show each other, all of us, the way home. We're all the same God, just different form, man. We all come from the same place, all here teaching each other what we've come here to remember. And that's that we're an infinite being in a very temporary human experience. That in every single moment you have everything you truly need. That you're exactly where you're supposed to be to learn whatever it is you're intended to learn in that given moment. And then most of all, you, my friend, exactly as you are right now, my brother or sister, are absolute perfection personified. That doesn't mean there aren't some changes that maybe you want to make that need to be made for your greater good. And for the good of the greater good of those around you that you love so much. But that doesn't mean you're not already as you are supposed to be in this moment. Maybe it is to learn what changes need to be made, but so be it. Still unfolding according to plan. Still unfolding according to the soul script that you wrote out before you came here. Just like planning out a match before you walked through that curtain. You chose it all, my brothers and sister. You chose it all. And all of it is always happening unconditionally for your highest good. I'm just reminded of the quote, I think it's from Dalai Lama. And the quote goes, "There are truly no strangers in life, only friends you haven't met yet." And I love that quote, and it's so relevant, and I'm grateful to Spirit for chucking that in my head right now, because that's what I'm talking about, man. And funnily enough, when I was a pro wrestler, my catchphrase was, "That's what I'm talking about." But that's what I'm talking about. We're all on the same team. We all know each other on some level, because we're all the same fucking thing on some level. So please try and remind yourself of these priceless little nuggets of truth. Try and metaphorically put on the sunglasses that I talked about last show. I think it was, it definitely was. It was when I honored, funnily enough, another wrestler. Wow, forgot about that. In the late, great, legendary Rowdy Roddy Piper, and I brought him up and honored him in reference to his lead role in the movie They Live. And if you didn't see the last show, and if you're just hearing this now, please, if you can see what's going on in the world, and if you know who and what we truly are, and that this is a game for the soul, that's one part of it. But if you could see the tyranny going on in the world, if you could see how the world has always been working and why, then you would love the movie They Live if you haven't seen it yet. The main premise is Roddy Piper, he finds these magical sunglasses. He puts them on. They're not as cool as these Macho Man sunglasses I have. But he puts them on and he can see the true reality around him. That the major authorities in this physical world, so government, religion, media, and pop culture, they're always conditioning humanity. And he can see the truth of everything truly going on when he puts these sunglasses on. But I mentioned in that podcast, I said I had the thought, well, maybe we start a revolution. Maybe we start a movement, rather. The revolution's already fucking underway, guarantee you that. But maybe we start a movement. And we all start, those who know, we start putting on sunglasses everywhere we go. I guess kind of like masks are a blatant expression of, in many ways, blind conformity and fear. Well, let's make sunglasses a blatant expression that we can fucking see what's up. That we see, not only that we can see the tyranny going on, but even more importantly, what it's really about is that we see the light, so to speak. We can see the light so fucking much, it's so bright we gotta wear shades. That we see the soul in things, we see the soul in others. And that most of all, we see love in this world. Because I'll tell you one thing, we see love. When we're bringing that love. We're gonna slam love into this world. Just like a chair shot across the face, this world will feel the love that's coming, the love that's already here. And hopefully, goddamn, with every ounce of me, I hope that you can feel the love in SOULgasm, the podcast, because it's all love, man. I know I'm a brash dude. I know I say fuck like it's going out of style. I know I have a very, very harsh approach sometimes. But again, just like the heel that you might see on stage or in the ring at a wrestling show, who's just doing their job. Please know that I'm just doing my job, being my authentic self. But please know that everything I say, everything I come from, is absolute love for all of us. I'm just trying to do my job in reminding you just how fucking epic you are, how much of a champion you are, how much of a superstar you already are. And you don't have to win a championship title to be it. You already are a champion. But you got to remember it. It's up to you to remember just how damn good you are. Already, are. So y'all wear those sunglasses if you feel the vibe. Because it's only getting brighter. As more of us wake up, as more of us step into our authenticity, it is only going to get brighter up in this motherfucker. But keep lighting this bitch up. Keep being you. Keep being you unabashedly, uninhibitedly, most of all, authentically. I thank you so much for tuning in. As always, by doing so, you're allowing me to be me. And I just pray that I have said something here, or something has come through in a way that can help you be a little bit more you. Until next time, and in the meantime, in between time, tune in to you. Thank you so much. I love doing this, man. I love wrestling. I love you. Peace, love, and soulgasm. Vibes up. Thank you so much for watching, my brothers and sisters. Please take a second to like, share, or subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. And if you aren't yet, please follow me on all my social media platforms for consistent, constant, soulgasmic, feel-good shit. I appreciate you so much. Peace, love, and soulgasm. Vibes up!